Alrighty, so today we saw our second head coach end up in the chopping block and our second MLS head coach being fired this season. And this one probably shouldn't surprise anyone whatsoever. I think this one clearly was coming from a mile away, and that, of course, is Atlanta United has officially fired Gonzalo Pineda after he took the team of now five consecutive home loss this season with them losing to Charlotte FC, and that five consecutive home loss is now extended to the longest home losing streak that Atlanta United has ever had in their young history in MLS. And there's no doubt that again, everybody saw this one coming. I mean, I did a video talking about this a couple of weeks ago, talk about the 9-game winless run and how Gonzalo Pineda and Carlos Bocanegra, both of those guys were under immense pressure. And while that Inter Miami win in the middle of the week definitely relieve a little bit of pressure, maybe gives hope that this team can turn around, well, it turns out that was kind of false hope. And that, yeah, again, I think this was kind of the final straw. It feels like the front office was pretty much being pressure, not only from the fans, but maybe even the players as well, that there has to be a change of voice to try to turn things around. And indeed, today is the day where Atlanta finally has pulled the trigger and decided that Gonzalo Pineda is no longer the head coach of this team. Now, what's also interesting is that they've also said that that's going to be the only firing from today. They did not fire Carlos Bocanegra today, and I mentioned Carlos Bocanegra name a lot in my video talk about Atlanta United 9-game winless run. I'm pretty sure a lot of Atlanta fans will know about Carlos Bocanegra, and that a lot of Atlanta fans will say, what does it take for this guy to finally lose his job? Because it is incredible how I talked about before. Atlanta has always had high expectation, and whoever is in charge of this team, they're going to be putting under pressure straight away, and they have to meet the expectation, or else they're not good enough. And that's kind of the reason why Atlanta has had a lot of head coach that's been come and go lately. But what's kind of surprising is that Carlos Bocanegra has got a lot of leeway because of it. And I get that he definitely is the mastermind in terms of building Atlanta of being a champion from the get-go. I mean, we'll never forget what they did in 2018, winning MLS Cup in only their second year as an MLS club. But really, ever since that, and really ever since Frank de Boer left this team, and ever since that loss that they suffered to Toronto FC in the Eastern Conference Final, I believe Atlanta United have not won a playoff game ever since that. I mean, they made a couple of playoff appearances, but they also have not won in terms of those games. They lost both time in those two playoff appearances that they have since the 2019 season. And not to mention, they've also have not made the playoffs in some of those seasons as well. And with all the expectation of what this Atlanta team is supposed to be, especially the high expectation they set themselves from the get-go, clearly not good enough. And certainly not good enough to a point where it's hard to believe that Carlos Bocanegra is giving that much of a leeway. I mean, I also think that when I also talk about how there's been a lot of head coach that's been come and go for Atlanta, it's getting to a point where if you have see a team that has a lot of head coach that's come and go, it's probably not because of the head coach as the reason why it's holding back the team. Maybe it has to be something deeper, and that's where you get to the front office and even the scouting department. And again, Carlos Bocanegra, he's the center of that, and that I won't be surprised that again the not only the front office but even higher up, even Garth Lagerway, which I think Garth Lagerway might have made the decision to fire Gonzalo Pineda. I'm not quite sure if that is the case. If it is, I think this is the first time he has fired a head coach in what seems like in a long time, because he never actually fired a head coach during his time with the Seattle Sounders. And before you say, what about Ziggy Smith? Well, that was actually not Garth Lagerway decision to fire him. It was actually the GM decision to fire Ziggy Smith back in 2016. So yeah, this again is kind of uncharted territory, and that again, if this is of course is the case that Garth Lagerway indeed was the one to do so, now it's going to be interesting to see what he's going to do. And I think that the other thing that is also interesting about this is that, with the interim head coach coming in and Rob Valentino, and Rob Valentino is very well loved in the Atlanta United fan base. They remember what happened when he took charge of this team in an interim basis. I think that was after when Gabriel Heinze left this team, and he took this team in a relatively good run, or was it during the time when yeah, Atlanta has had a lot of head coaches that's been let go. That I almost forgot some of the time when Rob Valentino had to take charge of this team in an interim basis, and he has actually done a really good job in terms of it too. What's kind of interesting now is that will he now get more of the chances to maybe even get this job on a permanent basis? Because we have seen so far in the league where a lot of these interim head coach when they get a good run in, maybe most of that is because of the interim head coach boost that I've always talked about. How whenever you have a new man in charge, you usually get a bit of a boost before it kind of wears off a little bit. But Rob Valentino, he proven that during his short time, he done a good job with this team, and now that he's probably going to get more chances because I've also heard that Atlanta United and Garth Largway have said that he's going to be maybe patient with the head coaching surge, and maybe even he's going to try to do something that he did in Seattle in 2016 when Brian Schmetzer was the interim head coach for the Sounder after Zeke Smith was let go. And guess what? The rest is history. Basically, they won MLS Cup that year. And I'm not saying Rob Valentino can do something just as miraculous as what Brian Schmetzer did when he came uh, into that Seattle team as an interim head coach, but I mean, the numbers definitely backed up that when Valentino was in charge of this team, they played really well, and that we'll see whether if it's going to be the case again, where he's going to bring the best out of this team and really get this team back to being a playoff contender. I mean, that's the first step. They need to get themselves back to being a playoff contender. This has just been an absolute nightmare of a run that Atlanta has gone. One win in 11 games is something that I know Atlanta has had some bad runs before. Well, this is on point one of the worst run that they have. Probably just as bad as what we saw in 2020, and I'm pretty sure 2020 is a year that Atlanta fans would not want to talk about how bad it got pretty much throughout the entire season. So yeah, again, this should be very interesting to see how Atlanta is going to be. There's no doubt that I think Atlanta should be better because again, they think that Gonzalo Pineda was kind of the big reason why this team kind of hold them back, and at least according to a lot of Atlanta United fans, they think that of course is one of the main situation. They should be getting a result in these next couple of games, but question is, will they do so? These next couple of games should be very interesting to tell about this Atlanta United team and whether they can get themselves back to the expectation that they set this season, which is not just a team to make it to the playoffs, but a team that make it to the playoffs and actually win a couple of games and maybe even go on a deep run and play that Atlanta United brand of soccer that we saw under Tata Martino a couple of years ago. Well, actually, I take that back. I feel like for some of those Atlanta United fans still feel like they can go back to that brand of soccer. I mean, I think that's kind of the reason why they brought in Gonzalo Pineda because they thought that they can replicate that. And in some way, in the beginning, he kind of replicate that a little bit. And there were spells that he did replicate that. But I think it's getting to a point where I think for some Atlanta United fans, they just got to understand what Tata Martino did to this team a couple of years ago, or at least when he took charge of this team in the first two seasons with Atlanta United. It's something that they're definitely spoiled because of what he brought to the table. But I do think that if they want to be a team that is successful and try to get back to the old glory days and really proudly can say the free words that Atlanta fans don't really want to say because this is when the teams start to go bad, and that of course is Atlanta is truly back. They must play the way that Rob Valentino is going to want to do. And if it's not going to be the most entertaining kind of style, but it gets reserved, I think Atlanta fans will definitely back that because again, this team is just doing so badly right now in the standings. If they can get some wins under their interim head coach and really start to build some momentum, they can still get themselves back in playoff. Uh, the playoff off picture, and that in this league a lot can change very quickly. You can see teams that could go on a good winning streak and get themselves high up the standings, and then you can also see teams that having bad run and just drop down like rock. So yeah, we'll see how Atlanta is going to be as we go along. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure to leave a like, smash the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below what do you think of this video, and if you're Atlanta United fans, I'm pretty sure you're very happy to see Gonzalo Pineda is gone. I know some Atlanta fans want Carlos Bocanegra to be the next man end up on the chopping block. But now that their interim head coach Rob Valentino is in, will Valentino be able to produce the same magic that he is when he was in an interim basis not long ago? For now, for these next couple of games. But yeah, until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.